The morning was fresh as the rescuer started his daily task of feeding street cats in the neighborhood. His bag was full of cat food as he walked to the spots where hungry cats usually waited. While putting down food, a woman stopped to talk to him. "There are 2 cats that need help nearby," she said, pointing to some old buildings. The rescuer thanked her and planned to look for them after feeding the regular cats. As he moved to the next feeding spot, he saw something that made him stop. A cat lying still in a drainage ditch. His heart raced as he moved closer to check. The cat wasn't moving and looked very sick. Without delay, he carefully took off the heavy drain cover and climbed down into the narrow space. It smelled bad inside, but he didn't care as he reached the cat and gently touched it. The cat was alive but barely breathing, with wet and dirty fur. The rescuer quickly called his friend, who often helped with animal rescues. "I found a cat in really bad shape," he said. "Can you come with the carrier? We need to get it to a clinic fast." He picked up the cat very carefully, feeling how light and weak it was. His friend arrived minutes later with a pet carrier, and they put the sick cat inside. The friend left right away for the nearest animal clinic, while the rescuer kept looking for the 2 abandoned cats the woman had mentioned. When he went back to where he found the first cat, he noticed another cat coming to eat the food he had left. This cat looked very similar to the one he just rescued, same pattern and size, making him wonder if they were related. After eating, this second cat walked over and sat near the open drain. The rescuer moved slowly toward it, offering some creamy cat treats from his pocket. The cat was careful but hungry enough to take the treats, letting him come closer. After a little while, he was able to pick up the cat, who seemed too tired and hungry to fight back much. While holding this second cat, some children ran up to him excitedly. They told him they had seen another cat up in a tree in the park nearby, with kittens too. The rescuer put the cat he had just caught into a small carrier he always carried and headed to the park, the children pointed out. At the park, he looked at the trees until he spotted something unusual. What looked like a falcon's nest with a cat and tiny kittens inside. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. A mother cat had somehow taken over a falcon's nest, and even stranger, the falcon was sitting on a branch nearby, watching but not attacking. This was very unusual, since birds of prey and cats are natural enemies. The rescuer carefully climbed the tree to reach the nest. First, he needed to get the kittens to safety. He counted the kittens as he picked up each tiny body and noticed that one had wounds on its back that needed medical care soon. He gently placed each kitten into a small bag he wore across his chest, made for safely carrying small animals. After getting the kittens, he had to make a tough choice. The falcon also needed help since it wasn't normal for it to let cats take over its nest. There might be something wrong with the bird. The rescuer, who knew a bit about helping wildlife, understood he should contact the wildlife center about the falcon. Birds of prey can't safely live in parks where dogs, cats, and people might bother them or get hurt by them. Moving carefully, he approached the falcon, talking softly and moving slowly. The bird seemed weak and didn't try to fly away as he got closer. Using a thick glove he carried for unexpected wildlife encounters, he was able to safely hold the falcon. He made a mental note to call the wildlife center as soon as possible to pick up the bird for proper care and later release. As he got ready to climb down with the falcon safely held, he saw movement below. The mother cat had jumped down from the tree and run away. He worried she might be scared and leaving her kittens, but surprisingly, she soon came back with another kitten in her mouth. The rescuer realized she had hidden some of her kittens in different places, maybe as a way to protect her family. He waited as the mother cat made several trips, bringing back more kittens one by one and placing them at the bottom of the tree. Once all the kittens were together, the rescuer knew he needed to gain the mother's trust. He put down a bowl of food mixed with special nutrients that help nursing mother cats stay healthy. He added some of the creamy treats that most cats love. The mother cat came closer carefully, her hunger eventually winning over her fear. She ate quickly, keeping her eyes on her kittens and the rescuer the whole time. While she ate, the rescuer checked the kittens she had brought from hiding spots. All seemed to be from the same litter as those in the nest. Some of these newly found kittens also had small injuries that would need treatment. After the mother finished eating, she seemed calmer, allowing the rescuer to pick her up along with her remaining kittens. He now had quite a collection of animals to transport: 2 adult cats, many kittens, and a falcon. The rescuer drove carefully to his rescue center, a changed garage behind his home where he gave temporary shelter to animals until they could be adopted or moved to bigger shelters. Inside the rescue center, other cats from earlier rescues watched with interest as the new animals were brought in. The rescuer set up a warm, comfortable space for the mother cat and her kittens with a soft bed, fresh water, and more food. He gently cleaned each kitten, paying special attention to those with wounds, using a safe animal antiseptic the vet had given him for such cases. The second cat from near the drain was checked closely now that they were in better light. This cat was thin but not as badly sick as the first one. After giving it food, water, and a comfortable place to rest, the rescuer noticed that this cat seemed to look for the carrier with the first cat, making soft meows. This behavior made him more sure that the 2 cats were related, maybe brother and sister or even mother and child. Over the next few hours, the rescuer checked on all his new animal guests. The mother cat had settled well with her kittens, all nursing hungrily. The injured kittens would need to see a vet in the morning, but none seemed to be in immediate danger. The two adult cats were resting side by side now, the healthier one seemingly watching over the sick one. The rescuer wrote notes in his log about all the animals rescued that day: 2 adult cats, a bunch of kittens, and a falcon. He wrote down their conditions, the treatments given, and what needed to be done next. Tomorrow would bring vet visits, paperwork for the animal control department, and the start of planning for eventual adoption for those that recovered well. Before going to bed, the rescuer made one final round to check on all the animals. The mother cat looked up at him with clear eyes that seemed to show thanks. The kittens were sleeping peacefully, tiny bodies rising and falling with each breath. The 2 adult cats were curled together, finding comfort in each other's presence. Even surrounded by the challenges of rescue work, the smells, the health concerns, the constant need for supplies, moments like these reminded the rescuer why he gave his life to helping animals. What had started as a normal morning feeding had turned into a day of many rescues, each animal with its own story and needs. From the depths of a dirty drain to a falcon's nest in a tree, these animals had faced many hardships before finding their way to safety. Now they had food, shelter, medical care, and a chance for a better future. The rescuer knew that days like this were both physically and emotionally tiring, but also deeply rewarding. Not every rescue had a happy ending. Some animals were found too late or had injuries too bad to overcome. But today, at least, all the rescued animals were alive and getting the care they needed. Tomorrow would bring its own challenges, but for now, the rescuer could rest knowing he had made a real difference in these animals' lives. As he got ready for bed, his phone buzzed with a message from the wildlife center. The falcon was responding well to first treatment. They believed the bird had an infection that had weakened it, explaining why it strangely allowed the mother cat in its nest. With proper care, the falcon would likely recover and eventually return to the wild. It was good news to end a long day. The next morning would start early, with feeding, cleaning, giving medicine, and vet visits. The cycle of rescue work never really ended. There were always more animals in need than rescuers available to help them. But each animal saved was a victory. Each recovery a reason to continue the work despite the challenges. For the cats rescued today, their future now held possibilities beyond just staying alive. The kittens, once old enough and healthy, would find loving homes. The mother cat would be fixed when the time was right, and either adopted or, if too wild for home life, returned to a managed colony where food and shelter would be provided. The 2 adult cats would recover under careful watch and eventually join the adoptable pets looking for their forever homes. This was the reality of animal rescue, a constant balance of sadness and hope, challenges and rewards. For the rescuer, it was simply what needed to be done. There were creatures who could not speak for themselves, who needed someone to see their suffering and act. Today, at least for these animals, that someone had arrived in time. As night fell completely, the rescue center grew quiet except for the occasional soft meow or purr. Tomorrow would be another day of feeding street cats, answering calls about animals in trouble, and working to make space for more rescues. But for now, in this moment of peace at the end of a successful day, the rescuer felt the simple satisfaction of knowing that several lives that might have been lost were now safe under his roof. Morning would come early, and with it the many tasks of caring for rescued animals. There would be medicine to give, wounds to clean, carriers to scrub, and calls to make. The vet would need to check the injured kittens and the sick cat. The wildlife center might have updates about the falcon, and new rescues might be waiting, unknown animals in need somewhere in the city. But these thoughts were for tomorrow. Tonight, the rescuer could take a moment to appreciate what had been accomplished. From the woman's tip about abandoned cats to the children pointing out the nest in the tree, this had been a day when many things came together to save lives. It wasn't always like this. Some days were filled with failure and heartbreak, arriving too late or finding animals too far gone to save. Those days were part of rescue work too, the shadow side of a calling that brought both joy and pain. The rescuer turned away from the sleeping animals and headed to his own bed. His clothes smelled of cat food, medicine, and the dirty drain he had climbed into hours earlier. His hands bore small scratches from nervous cats, and his muscles ached from climbing the tree. These were the marks of the work he had chosen, badges of a day spent making a difference in the world. Tomorrow would bring more of the same, more animals, more challenges, more chances to help, and he would be ready, just as he had been today. As he drifted off to sleep, the rescuer's mind filled with images of the day's events. The still form in the drain, the falcon watching from its perch, the mother cat carrying her kittens one by one, the 2 cats grooming each other in the recovery area. These were the moments that made the hard work worthwhile, the small victories that kept him going day after day. In a world that sometimes seemed filled with cruelty and indifference, he had created a small space where compassion ruled, where the weakest and most vulnerable could find safety and care. And that, he thought, as sleep claimed him, was enough for one day's work. Tomorrow would take care of itself. Tonight, lives had been saved. Tonight, animals who had known only fear and hunger were warm and fed and safe. Tonight, that was enough.